Guys, Marvel Fan 45 here, and today I'll be doing my top 10 movies of the 1990s. So, I did this series a little bit ago, and I just sort of stopped doing it after the 2000s for some reason, because I had so much trouble putting this list together. So, yeah, let's finally restart this series and get back into it. This video took a long time to come out because this list was almost impossible for me to make because the 90s has so many good movies. And yeah. But yeah, also expect a channel update sometime soon in the future because I will be discussing the state of the channel and where it's going to be going. So yeah, without any further break, let's just get into it. Also, one honorable mention, because I want to withhold myself to one so I don't go on like a massive tangent on 90s movies. So my one honorable mention is Dracula 1992. I'll be doing a rewatch review for it so I can see if I actually truly love it or not. But yeah, let's just get back into it. Okay, so number 10, Clint Eastwood's masterpiece, Unforgiven. This film is basically just the continuation of the Man with No Name character in What If He Got Old and started basically rethinking things. Like, it's hard to explain what makes this film so good, but Eastwood is amazing in the lead role as William Money. I forget the kid's exact name, but the kid, Morgan Freeman, is great as his partner. And Wild Bill is one of the best villains in any film, in my opinion. Few films have had me hating a character so much. And then this film also deconstructs like the difference between like people who say they've done things and people who have actually done them. My favorite shot in the movie is what is it? Right before the final shootout, when the kid kills his first person, and Clint Eastwood just gives him the bottle of beer without like a word, and just walks away and tells him to leave town for a while. Like, that's just such a good scene. There's something like so haunting about it, if that makes sense. But yeah. Now on to number 9. Wong Kar-wai's. I would say this is probably his fourth best movie. This isn't my favorite of his. I prefer In the Mood for Love, 2046, and My Blueberry Nights. But that really doesn't say anything about this film because this film is still a 5 out of 5. Chungking Express. I've seen this film many, many times now. I know the dialogue by heart. It really just never gets boring to me. Like, there's something so great about this film. Like, the slow motion Wong Kar-wai would go on to use in like his masterpieces, like In the Mood for Love, 2046, My Blueberry Nights. My Blueberry Nights, the slow motion is a lot more like heavy-handed than it is here, if that makes sense. But this is just perfection. Like, this is, in my opinion, like the perfect romance film. If you want to watch like a perfect romance movie, watch this. But yeah. Number 8. Terminator 2. I don't really need to say anything about this movie. You already know how good it is. Number 7. The Matrix. It's The Matrix. Like, what more needs to be said? It's The Matrix. Like, The Matrix and T2 in a row just perfectly sums up, like, action in the 90s for me. But, like, it's The Matrix. Like, what more needs to be said? Like, the fight scenes are great. The characters are great. The story's great. The symbolism is pretty blunt, but it's fun. Yeah, The Matrix. Number 6. Takashi Miike's Audition. So if you've seen this film, you know the scene. The scene. So at that scene, my jaw dropped because it comes out of nowhere. And like, so the first act of this film is like a simple romance story. But then the second and third acts are pure, unhinged insanity. One of my favorite shots in the whole movie is where he walks into the piano room, or the piano studio, or the dance studio. I don't know what it is, but he walks into the room with the guy playing the piano. And then the guy turns. And then you see the thing. And then you realize what's going on. I'm not going to spoil anything, but this movie got me. I have yet to rewatch it, but this movie, like, blew me away. Like, if you want a good horror movie, watch Audition. Like, it's honestly shocking. Like, you know something's wrong from the start, because it all seems too perfect. And then you find out what's wrong, and, that scene, I'll just end it off by going Kiri, Kiri, Kiri. If you know the movie, you know what that means, but, watch Audition. Number 5, now we're getting into, like, top of the top favorite movie levels. Number 5, Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. So this is my favorite Batman movie. I've yet to rewatch the Tim Burton Batmans yet, and they're actually just sitting over there waiting for me to rewatch them. But to me, Mask of the Phantasm has always spoken to me more personally. I've watched it many times. I didn't watch it since childhood until like a few months ago when I realized how amazing it was. But this is like not neo-noir, just noir, gothic Batman. Like, it's everything I love in Batman. Like, it's got the grit, it's got the romance story, it's got the great villain, and then the ending. The ending is perfect. Like, I love all the little things in this movie, like how the City of Future is destroyed, and how, like, now the Joker lives there. Like, it's pretty heavy in terms of symbolism, too. Like, it has some intense symbolism. And then, of course, Phantasm, Your Angel of Death Awaits, is one of the coolest Batman villain lines, period. Like, it's just such a good movie. Like, it's not boring, it's short and brisk and to the point. That's why I love it. But yeah, number 5, Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Number 4, Martin Scorsese's Casino. This is my favorite Martin Scorsese film by far. I still need to see a few of his films, but I've seen most of them. But Casino was, I think, the first Martin Scorsese film I saw, maybe? I think I saw Taxi Driver first, actually. I think it was the second Martin Scorsese film I saw, actually. But Casino is just pure movie. Like, it's everything I want in a movie. Like, it's got such a simple premise that's taken to, like, the extreme. Like, I see why people call this Goodfellas too, but, I disagree. Like, Casino is just something else. Like, the visuals are more interesting, in my opinion, than Goodfellas, but I love the visual style. I love Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Sharon Stone. Sharon Stone is amazing here. Like, she is, in my opinion, like, the heart of the movie. She is half the reason it's so good. And then De Niro, obviously at his best. And the plot is just so intricate. Like, as you go on, things get more interesting and entertaining. And then you get to the ending. And what a perfect way to end it. Like, it's just a perfect movie in my opinion. In that opening scene, within the opening 5 minutes when I first watched this, my jaw dropped. Because if you've seen the opening scene, it comes out of nowhere. Like, it blew my mind when I first watched it that you could do that in an opening scene. Like, it just makes you go, oh gosh, I need to know what happened. Like, and then even the opening credits are beautiful, but this movie is basically just a capitalist hellscape. That's the best way I can describe it. But yeah, number 4, Casino. Number 3, these top 3 have all been in my number 1 spot in terms of my favorite movies at a point. And these all actually switch around for my number 1 spot, but my number 1 spot in terms of movies could be a lot of movies. Like, I have trouble picking just one. But yeah, just know these top 3 basically could switch order anytime. Number 3, Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. By far the most, like, shocking movie I've ever seen. Like, I've seen Antichrist and stuff like that, Inside, Them, High Tension. Don't get me wrong, those films are, like, brutal, but they're not, like, horrifying. This film is horrifying. The scene in the bus. No, not the scene in the bus. The scene in the derailed train car with the killer, like, has been in my head for a long time. And then, like, the stuff with the angel, the way Lynch tells the story, I mean, the visuals of the whole thing, and then the focus on Laura. Like, the whole time you want to know who Laura is and about Laura, and you find out about her, and, like, Cheryl Lee gives probably my favorite performance in any movie here. She is, like, unbelievably good here as Laura. And then we got Their Turn, which is also a masterpiece. But I actually have started to prefer Fire Walk with Me. But yeah. Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. I can't say anything without spoiling it, because it's all, like, background to Twin Peaks. But, like, Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me is, like, possibly the greatest thing ever made, in my opinion. But yeah. Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. It's a masterpiece of cinema. Number 2, Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. This is my favorite Stanley Kubrick movie by far. I know some people may disagree with me on that, but it is my favorite of his by a long shot. There's just something about this movie, like, it's a horror movie that isn't a horror movie. Like, this movie has such a humongous atmosphere that, like, it's unbelievable. Like, I think the best way I can describe this movie is there's this night, and I could have gone out and hung out with people, and I had plans, but then I started Eyes Wide Shut, and I was like, okay, I'm only going to watch 10 minutes of this. But then, in the middle of the movie, I had to text my friends that I couldn't hang out with them today because I had to finish Eyes Wide Shut. And I watched all 3 hours again. Like, this is probably my most rewatched movie. Like, Eyes Wide Umbrellas of Cherbourg is my most rewatched movie, actually. Eyes Wide Shut is just peak cinema, period. Like, that's all I have to say. Eyes Wide Shut also could very easily be in my number 1 spot. But my number 1 on this list at this point, and my favorite movie of all time at this point, is Neon Genesis Evangelion. The End of Evangelion. Where to even begin? Okay, so I want to actually talk a little bit about the remakes first. So most people did not like the direction he took with the remakes, but I actually liked it. So he just made Evangelion a little more adult and subtle with the remakes. So Evangelion 3.0, which is also like top 10 for me, is like the end of Evangelion, but calmed down up until the end. The end of Evangelion is like... The end of Evangelion is peak cinema. Like, the end of Evangelion is, like, I can say this without hesitation, like, the peak of movies. If you have not seen the original Evangelion TV show, first off, watch that. But the final 40 minutes, I talked about this in my review, but the final 40 minutes are some of the most awe-inspiring, jaw-dropping stuff you'll ever see in a movie. Like, it takes so many, like, crazy twists and turns. Like, you won't see anything coming. And then, like, the final act, that final shot is, like, glorious. And I think my favorite quote is, like, what is it? When the thing is happening, without spoiling it, no, Shinji, you're just doing this to get away from reality. You can't fix what you've already done. And then, like, he gets out of the thing, again, without spoiling it. And then the thing with Asuka happens, and I cried so hard. Like, the end of Evangelion is a masterpiece. Like, Asuka's rampage goes on for 20 minutes, and it doesn't even feel like that. A certain death scene really, really got me, and then, like, the insanity that happens when the, how to say this without spoiling it. I'll just say when Seilei's plans start to come to fruition, I'll just say that, or when things really pop off. Like, this movie, you think it's going crazy, and then it goes crazy. Like, this movie will blow your mind if you have not seen it. But yeah, watch the original TV show first, then go watch this movie, then go watch the redos, and then, yeah. But yeah, the end of Evangelion, my number one of the 90s, by far. Like, that's not even, like, an exaggeration. This is, like, by far my favorite movie of the 90s. Like, Eyes Wide Shut and Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me are about on the level of the end of Evangelion for me. Everything else under Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me has not, like, reached the level of any of these movies. But yeah. That was my top 10 of the 90s. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, stay safe and have a good day.